Good afternoon, Lake Stevens. This is Chad Brandt, fourth grade teacher at Sunnycrest Elementary, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 2 of the Swimming in Tech Hangout. We're just going to get right into it as I'll introduce our first topic to you. My screen share on. And our first topic, Phil's going to be starting us off today with Google Apps Freestyle. He's going to be telling you about the equation editor right in Google Docs. Phil, take it away.
Greetings to everyone out there. So what's on your mind right now might be Smarter Balance Assessment. In fact, I just spent half of the day today in meetings on that. So what we're going to do is we want to take a second and we're going to show you how you can begin to work within Google Docs and some of the Google apps to get your kids some practice for some of the things that they're going to see on the Smarter Balance Assessment. Especially on the math portion, tends to be some really tricky little tools in there. So I've shared my screen right now, and Chad, is that showing?
I got you. Sorry, muted microphone.
Okay, yeah, thank you. All right, so a couple things on this. I've prepared a how-to document and linked it off of our Swimming in Tech blog site here. So if you scroll down here, you can click on here to open up this pretty helpful, I hope, a little 3-page document that will walk you through some of the things that we're going to do today. So when you start adding an equation, it's actually fairly simple, and there isn't a lot to it. And in the elementary, you're working more towards fractions. When you get into the upper grades in algebra, it gets a little more complicated. But we're going to just start with some basic how to use the equation editor. So first thing you need to do is I've got a document open here, and I'm going to go ahead and under the Insert menu, scroll down to Equation. Open that up. Now, whenever you start making an equation, you'll see that blue box around it and a pretty heavy insertion point inside there. That's heavier than you normally see on a Google document. The other key tip that I always give everyone is select everything and set your font size at least double of what you want or what the rest of your text is. So if I have 11, probably 24 would be a good size, but just to make sure that we can really see this, I'm going to go all the way up to 36. Okay, and again, I click back in there, and I've got that great big bold insertion point blinking inside the blue box. Now I'm ready to come up here and insert some mathematical fractions, square roots. You can, as you scroll across here, you can see you've got almost everything. You got all the Greek letters, and some of these are further math than I'm used to using. You have functions, matrix types things that you can do. But we're going to just really quickly, first thing we're going to do is just put in a fraction. So let's just say we want to put in a fraction 1/3. Well, you can see that we have the line for a fraction, and the insertion point is blinking in the numerator position. So if I'm going to say, let's say we're going to write the fraction 2/5. So I type the 2. Now I could click down below, but what I found in this equation editor, it's much easier, much more consistent if you just press the tab key. And the reason why is it'll tab to next position for you no matter what you're trying to do. So then we type in 2/5 and we're done. We click away from it. We want to go more, work on it some more. We just click inside the equation editor. We can change anything that we want to. So what if we want a mixed fraction? We want to have 2 3/8 for our fraction. Well, we do the same thing. Let's put in a new equation. But in this case, we just want a whole number. So we just type the number 2. Don't have to worry about anything up there. And we'll go 2, and now we need a fraction. So we'll put that back in. We'll add another fraction. What did I say? 3/8. So we go 3, tab. Notice I'm not clicking my mouse. Eighths. And now we have a mixed fraction. But what if we want to maybe add? We want to make a problem where we're adding fractions. Well, in this case, we're just going to hit the tab key again, plus, and this is where it gets kind of goofy because the insertion point is right a little bit on the outside of the blue box, and when I first started doing this, I worried that I was not in the equation editor anymore. Trust me, you still are on this one. So let's say we want to go 5 and 1/2. So for the fraction, we drop back up here, or come back up to our equation mathematical symbols. We'll click there, and we'll go 1 tab half. Same thing on that one. So it's, you can do, and you can get pretty involved if you want to. Again, if we drop in whoops, we have to go to new equation. We'll drop in a fraction. Maybe we want x squared. And to do that, in order to get the exponents, we have to click in here. So we'll go x. We tab. Notice how it popped to a small insertion point, squared. I'm going to tab again, and I'm still above the line. So we want to go x squared plus 1. And on the bottom, maybe we want to go, okay, I'm showing my lack of mathematics, but maybe we want to go 9x plus 3. So that's basically how you do it. Tricks are tab between, and also remember when you're in the blue box. I'll do one more. Go to the equation editor. We'll go in, we'll do a square root. It's a pretty common thing. So maybe we want to have the square root of 9. Pretty simple. So your students are going to see this exact, and on the Smarter Balance, it's a lot simpler tool where if all you have to do is a fraction, they will see a fraction editor that looks just like this. There may be boxes, something that they're going to click in. But the more that you can get them used to using these equation editor tools, the more transferable skills they'll have to transfer those to other applications. So the equation editor is actually very easy to use. Get your kids ready for Smarter Balance, and if you're doing any of your own little worksheets or math type problems that you need to have this in your Google Docs, you can use this equation editor for that as well. I'm going to turn it back to you, Chad.
Thanks, Phil. It's time to move on to segment 2, the Moodle Medley. Today I'll be introducing the Poodle audio recording plugin that Phil added to Moodle just a few weeks ago. Really handy tool for putting audio recordings in your Moodle, either that you do as a teacher or having your students do them as well. So, quick run through. I'm on my Moodle page, and of course I'm going to turn editing on first. Of course I've got to do that if I want to add anything to my page. I'm going to demonstrate using the plugin as I'm creating an assignment. And I'll create an assignment where the students will be doing their own recordings, perhaps a recording of their reading to check for fluency. So I'm going to add this as an assignment. Let's do it in this top section just for ease here. Note that I have to put in a description each time. Don't need to display that on the page. Although this might be a good opportunity to show you how you can put in a recording using the Poodle plugin. Anytime you've got a text editor here in Moodle, this is the default view with just one row of buttons. If you click here, the toolbar toggle button, you can access the other 2 rows of buttons. And right here with this microphone, you can record a quick audio recording where you might put in instructions for the students to complete the assignment, or anything you can think of that you might be a lot more creative than I am. But I'll just record some quick instructions here for my students. Just click this record button. I'll have to allow access to my microphone, and then I have this very simple interface. Just click the record button. Hey students, click here to record yourself reading. Click stop, and I can play that back. Hey students, click here to record yourself reading. And I can insert that recording right into my description. I'll show that on the page so you can see what it looks like when I go back to my Moodle homepage. Now, if you want students to be able to use the Poodle, if you'd like them to submit an audio recording to you, if if you scroll down this assignment options page and head to submission types, now Online Poodle will be one of the submission types you can select. So I'm going to select Online Poodle, and just for ease, I'm going to deselect File Submissions so you can see what this Online Poodle looks like. Students will be presented with an MP3 voice recorder right when they click into the assignment, and it will be really clean. All they will have is that one recording interface. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm just going to scroll down, forget all of those, and go back to my course. Now when I use the Poodle to record the instructions to my students, it shows up like this on my Moodle site, and so a student would come in, and if I maybe typed listen to the instructions, they'd click here. Hey students, click here to record yourself, and then they can hear the recording that I made in just 5 seconds with that Poodle plugin. So now let's see what this assignment would look like from a student's perspective if they were to click on it. I'm going to change my role to student. And if one of my students was to click on this assignment you just saw me create, when they clicked Add Submission, this is what they would be greeted with. They'd again have to allow access to their microphone, and see they have the same clean interface that I had. Then they could record themselves reading. I have a dream. They can play that back. That was beautiful. And then if they save changes, they'll submit that recording to me as their teacher, and all of the recordings from the students will show up in one page that I can access as a teacher. They'll just show up in a list, and I can view all of those recordings at once. I'll show you what that looks like. I'll head back to my home page. I'm going to switch my role back to my teacher role. And now if I click on the assignment I just created, now I can view or grade all my submissions. Now let me pretend I click there, and I'm going to go back to an assignment I've done previously, and this is what it will look like. I've hidden my student names, of course, over here, but all my students, their submission is shown here as a little play bar, and I can just go down each of these and click on the submission and listen to the students reading.
I've never seen someone fishing.
All of my student submissions are right here on one page for me, just using that Poodle plugin. All right, Phil. I'm going to
let's take a second on this and just recap. So you use that to get reading samples from students, right? I mean, that's one of the uses you use it for right now.
Correct.
So another one that I had, because I'm always challenged by math teachers to use that, is have your, and again, this would be using the webcam and the camera, but have your students maybe write their problem on a piece of paper, hold it up over the camera, in front of the camera, take a picture, insert that as a file. So you notice you could have a file submission and the Poodle. And then one of the things that we're trying to do is get kids to explain why they do things. Well, writing out why you do a math problem all the time, I think, is kind of a pain. But being able to just talk it through, because really, honestly, since the 70s, the research has shown that kids that can talk through a math problem, and that's why we want them to write through, is that research, that they are better mathematicians. So there's a way to use that in math too. Or you could, it's probably better to have them do their own problem, but you could put a problem in the Moodle and have them talk through how that was solved as well. So there's two ways you can do it. Do you have any others that you can think of?
Well, right now, I think just responding verbally is in any subject area that a teacher just wants to hear the student's thoughts and just let the student, instead of having to write out, maybe it's a long, laborious train of thought that would be easier for the student to just talk it out to the teacher as an accommodation for some students. I'm sure the teachers would be able to come up with many more creative ways than what we've shown you today. But the idea is just showing you that the plugin is there, and the possibilities are only limited by our imagination.
Yeah, awesome. And be sure to tell us when you have those great ideas too. So, all right, on with the show.
Diving into search, you're going to show us about search tools, searching by date, and readability level.
I am. So one of the things by the way, Chad, we have viewers tonight, which means we were successful. The third time was a charm. We have people watching. So greetings to all of you. One of the things that we want to do each time, as Chad said, is a quick search tip. So this one, some of you may know about. Let me get back where I want to be on this one. So I'm on just a regular Google search page here, and I'm going to, I know some of you are doing the book Chains, and that deals with the Underground Railroad. So maybe you want to have your students search for Underground Railroad. So I'm going to go ahead and make that search. Now, when you do that, how do you know you're getting text that's appropriate for each of your grade levels of your students, or at least an age level appropriate text? Well, Google has some search tools built into it, and these search tools change depending on where you are in the system. But if you look up here on the right, on the top of every search page, there's this little box called Search Tools. And if I click on it, it will give me different search tools that I can use. Again, context sensitive depending on where I am. In this case, I'm on web pages. One of the things that we're going to look at under all results is, I don't know if you knew, but you can filter your web search by reading level. So if I click on reading level, this comes up and this tells me that 44% of the pages that I found have a basic reading level, and 56% have intermediate level. And as I scroll down through my results, it will tell me which pages are intermediate and which are basic. Some of them don't have any rating, and I think that's because there's a lot of pictures. This one's video, things like that as you go through. So that's another way to really quickly tell whether or not it's something that you want to use. The way that Google figures these, I haven't really found a good way to do it, but it's all based on comprehension level. If you look at basic, that's probably going to be a pretty good for third, fourth, fifth, sixth, even seventh graders. And in fact, some writers say the basic level is better writing because it isn't all convoluted with a lot of vocabulary. As the kids get older, the intermediate might even be more appropriate. But let's go ahead and click on this basic. And at this point, now when I look at these, a lot of these are much more appropriate for younger students. Instead of them slogging through and finding websites with a lot of vocabulary that's just too hard for them, these are all, and they're all at a comprehension level anyway, sites that students might be able to use on that one. So reading level is one way that you can filter some of your results. Another one in that same line is when you need something that's date sensitive. A lot of times things that I'm looking for, I need to know I've got more recent results. So in thinking of something, here's the best I could come up with. So I've decided I'm going to do a search for the best Chromebooks for schools. I want to find the most recent best Chromebooks out there that I can use. And if you know, in the world of Chromebooks, that changes like weekly on that. So if you've got something that's even 6, 7 months old, it's too old. It's not useful at all. So as I roll down through here, you can see July 11th. That's last summer. Here's one from August 5th last summer. Those are done. Those are too old. And in fact, even this January 28th one might be a little bit old. So one of the things that we can do is, remember, we always have our search tools. You come up here, notice that we have a anytime. So right now we're looking at anytime since the web was invented, really, to right now. But for this particular one, I might want to say, you know what, I just want to know in the past week, what do people think are the best Chromebooks? And now you'll notice that this one is 6 days old. This one is 5 days old. So when you have times, here's one that's 13 hours old. That's probably maybe not too bad, although it's in Amazon, so they're going to sell me something. But if you're in the science field, if you're in, you're looking for current research on a certain topic, a lot of times, this is one of the filters I use the most is this time results. And if you're not, I start as close as I can. If I'm really not finding much, I might go back to the past month. But a lot of times, if it's more than a month old, it's really not useful. So those two particular ways to do it, by reading level and by time, are great search tools that you can use to narrow your search down, get much better information that's appropriate for your students. And I'll let you take over, Chad.
All right, thanks, Phil. We're heading to our final segment of our show, the long course. We're going to talk about getting started with Google Classroom. Let me get a screen share in here. And with the remaining time, we'll talk about creating your class, adding students, and sharing your first assignment. Now, this is not a training video. This is just kind of exposure to the tools that you have available to you. I can tell you there are a lot of training videos if you're interested in going deeper with Google Classroom and trying it out. But we want to encourage you, if you've been using Hapara, try out Google Classroom. I made the switch a few weeks ago, and the interface is so clean, it's so easy to share documents, and you'll be amazed if you haven't seen it before, Google Classroom's answer to Hapara's Smart Copy. So let's get started with Google Classroom. Well, first you've got to open it up. Well, you can do that a couple ways. The easiest way is probably just to go into your apps list. You can do this on your Chromebook or on your PC and find the Classroom icon and click on the Classroom icon. Or you can open a new tab and just type in classroom.google.com. I'll get rid of the rest of that. And since you're already signed into Chrome as yourself, you don't need to do anything special. It knows who you are, so when you hit enter in your Omnibox, it'll take you right to your Google Classroom home. If you aren't on your home page, if you're in Classroom and you don't know how to get back here, you can always look up at the top left-hand corner in Classroom. You've got this menu right here, and clicking on the menu, you can always click on the home button to get back to this page. So back on the home page, it's time to add your first class. It's a nice clean interface here, but you can see there is a plus button here, and this is where you're going to go to add your first class. They make it really easy. Click there, and if you're a student, you click join class, but we're a teacher, we're going to create a class. Simply name the class what you'd like. And there is also a field for a section number. So let's say you're a science teacher that teaches the same course a number of times a day. You can put in the period number in this second field, and each period will create a separate class for you in Google Classroom. But don't worry, if you create an assignment that you want to share with all of your periods, you can share it in one of your classes, and then you can easily, with just a few clicks, share that assignment with all of your classes. So it's really well done. I'll click Create. And here you go. Now this is the screen for your classroom. There are three main sections here: the Stream, the Students tab, and the About tab. Let's cover each one of these. First, you'll want to invite students to your class right away. So let's go to the Students tab. The easiest way to add students that takes you out of the equation is if you just put this code up on the whiteboard in front of your room, or share it to them any way you like through Moodle or a website, etc. By giving students this code, they can just head to Google Classroom, type in that code, and they'll automatically be added to your class. They can join your class. Alternately, you could invite students, and then they won't need to deal with this code, and they can just click join when they go to Classroom. If you click this invite button, it will bring up all your contacts though, so I don't want to I don't want to do that and show all my contacts. So let's pretend I click that button, and this is what will come up, this dialog box. You can either click on contacts, and you can multi-select the lists of your contacts, or you can go into groups. And I've shown you this because I already have a Hapara group that's already been created because my class is in Hapara. And if I just click on that right there and invite students, it will send an invite to everyone who's already in that Hapara group. So that would be a way to send invites if you like. So a couple ways to get students into your class. I'll go back into Classroom. So what is this going to look like from a student perspective? Well, I just so happen to have a test students version up here. So I already navigated this student to classroom.google.com, and you can see this student is already enrolled in a couple of classes. And this student, you can see I invited this student to my test class. They can click join, or by clicking, by putting this invite code right here where they click join class, put that invite code in, and now they can join my class I just created for this Hangout. You can see now they are in my Swimming in Tech class, and if I go over to my teacher view, I have one student. Jerry has been added into my class. I just love the class sizes. Thanks to that class size initiative, it's really made a big difference. Classes of one student are fantastic. This is the Students tab in my view. Now I can also go to the About tab, and this tab, this is where you would want to place documents and other information that you'd like students to have access to throughout the entire year. If you have a class syllabus or just documents that they'll need to see throughout the year, you can put them in this About tab, and students in their view can go to the About tab to see anything that's here. Well, Phil, I know we're over time, and we may stop our video here when we do the edit to go on the web, but I'm just going to continue for those who have stuck with us. If they'd like to see how to share a simple assignment, I'm just going to keep going, Phil.
I think that's a good idea. Let's go for it.
All right. So you probably want to share your first assignment once you have student or students in your class. Go back to the stream. This is where you're going to work as a teacher most of the time. Once you have your students added, once you've got your About page taken care of, you're going to be in your stream most of the time. All right. What can you share with your class? You can share announcements, and you can share assignments. Announcements are exactly what they sound like. Just a text announcement, but you can also attach files or Google Drive items, YouTube videos, or URLs to the students. But this is just an announcement that will show up right in the stream. And you can see here, you can add these announcements or assignments to multiple courses just by pulling down on the course name, and you can multi-select all of your classroom classes that you'd like to send this announcement to. I'm just going to send it to my Swimming in Tech class. Click Post. And here we go. Everything in the stream, announcements and assignments, will show up on this page in order, almost like a blog format. If I go back in Jerry's view on his stream, here is the announcement, my welcome announcement. Let's go back to the teacher view, and now let's share a simple assignment. Click over to Assignment, and then you can title your assignment. You can add an optional description, and then this is where you'll want to attach any videos you'd like them to view or any links, any documents that you'd like them to fill out. I'm going to attach a document here so you can see Google Classroom's view of the smart copy. So I'll click on this Attach a Google Drive item. And I've got this Google Doc template, and here is where I select, here is the smart copy. After I've loaded this document, I have some options. You'll notice these are a lot like the Google sharing options. When I share this, I can share this view only, so that it's just one file that all students can view but not edit. Students can edit files, so it's still just one file, one Google Doc that all students would be able to edit on that one document if we're all collaborating on one document. But most likely you'll want to make a copy for each student. We'll create a separate editable copy for each student. This one click does everything that a Hapara Smart Copy does. Bam, right there. Click Assign, and all 1 students in my class will get a separate copy of this template. The assignment shows up in my stream. It shows the due date that I didn't mess with. And now let's go over to Jerry's view, see what he sees. So the assignment shows up, tells him it's due tomorrow. He better open it and get working. He can now open the template and get working. Now, Google also organizes these files in a very clear way. As a teacher, Google will create a classroom folder inside your Google Drive, and then each assignment that you put into Google Classroom will show up in its own folder inside that classroom folder. So here is Jerry's file. He can fill out this assignment, and once he is done filling out this assignment, he can click the Turn In button. Turn in. And now I'll go back to my teacher view, and you can see it's updated already. I have 1 student done. When I click back on this assignment, I can click on Jerry's name, and I can actually open up his assignment, look at it, provide feedback. I can score here with a certain number of points I'd like to give his assignment before I return it to him. Once I've scored it, he did a fantastic job. I can return the assignment to him. When an assignment is created in Google Classroom and a student opens it, they become the owner of that assignment. But when they turn it in to you as the teacher, you become the owner, and they cannot edit it until you return it to them. So once I return it to him, he can then again make edits. You can give him optional feedback and then return it to the student. Lastly, if I had more students in my class here, I can click on this button to navigate right to the folder in my Google Drive where all these assignments are kept. And so if you prefer to look at all the assignments here, they would all show up in this Google Drive folder right here. That was a lot for a video that's not really a training video, Phil, but
pretty tough to even get started without doing that much though, Chad. I thought that was great.
Yeah, sorry, I know I was going quickly through that, but we just want to encourage you to give it a try, and it's so intuitive, more so than Hapara, that once you get going and you get started, you can really figure a lot of it out on your own, and there are so many training resources out on the web.
And the flow, the teacher workflow, the classroom workflow is so natural in Google Classroom. And I've talked to a few of the people on the team that built that, and they spent a lot of time with teachers, a lot of time talking through and refining that to match what teachers do, not try to force a teacher into something that tech people do. So we like it. I'm 100% sold on Google Classroom.
Absolutely. Well, that was that was way over time, but if you know us, you know we have the tendency to be a little long-winded. We just have so much we want to share, and we'll work on paring it down as we get a little bit more experienced with our Hangouts here. We want to let you know that our next meet is next Monday, March 2nd, 4 p.m. Pacific time.
And make sure you check the Swimming in Tech blog. We will update the agenda for next week, probably tonight. We'll make sure we post this video up there so people can come back, watch it again. And the other thing, for the couple of people who actually stuck through the whole time, Chad, we're going to build in interactivity in this if it kills us. So each week we learn a little bit more about how to do the Hangout too. So thanks for sticking with us.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll see you next week then.